Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Relationship Atlas podcast. I'm your host, Coach Atlas, and today is episode 10. It's exciting. Episode 10. I want to take this opportunity to just thank everybody for being here so far. I appreciate you listening into the podcast. It's still in its infancy, and the goal is to get to at least 100 episodes. So, right now, we are releasing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, those that have been keeping up, I appreciate you. My ultimate goal, though, is not necessarily that you're kept up with all the episodes, but that there is some sort of impact being implemented in your relationship based on something that's come up in the episode or episodes. So, if that is the case, I would love to hear about which episode is your favorite. So please drop it in the comments or just let me know on any of the socials at the relationship coach _. I would love to hear how it's helped you, if at all. I got this great message the other day just about intention and impact from a good friend of mine. And it just means the world to know that somewhere somebody is taking value from this. So thanks for that in the future. Today, for episode 10, what I want to take the opportunity to do is talk about the power of secure relationships. And more specifically, how a secure relationship, or rather building and creating a secure relationship, can impact things greater than just your personal experience. So we think about a secure relationship as something that I get. There are things that I receive or I'm a part of or I can experience because I'm in a secure relationship, right? We think about being at peace. We think about being at ease. We think about reducing stress. And that stress could be emotional, that stress could be financial, that stress could be even physical, right? I'm looking to reduce stress, and a relationship can offer me that. I'm looking for lifelong partnership, right? That's what I get. I get to know that I'm not going to be alone ever again, or at least that's my hope in this relationship dynamic. And so we get a lot from secure relationships or even just a relationship in general. But a secure one can take us so much farther beyond just the initial desires that we want as individuals. So, one of the first things that comes up as far as what a secure relationship provides, in contrast to an insecure one, which may be very heavily anxious or heavily avoidant or heavily disorganized, which is essentially a combination of anxious and avoidant, is that your relationship is a safe haven. It's something that you can return to when the difficulties of life arise, right? It's a space to go and be safe emotionally, safe physically, safe psychologically, right? Who you are authentically in all of your flaws and all of your perfections is safe here. There is a study that was done that aired to what happens when you get married. And prior to being married, our safe haven generally is our family, right? Our actual parents, our siblings, our aunts and uncles. That is our safe haven still. Or at least that's what the study shows. That is what we believe to be our safe base until marriage. And that's when the attachment to the home base shifts from your family to now your partner and the family you're building. So now you have a different, you've shifted your attachment to a different area. And that's why it can be so difficult after marriage for a lot of people, is because they're not prepped. They don't have a foundation of safety and security built so that when that transition happens, it's as seamless and smooth as possible. So that safe haven is a huge component of a secure relationship and what it can offer us. Working off the back of that, a secure relationship gives us space to explore ourselves as individuals. Right? We think a lot about partnership as one being. We come together and now we're one being. And a lot of that perspective can actually be very difficult to hold, because then it says, well, what if we are different? Because what if I want to explore this and you don't? What if I have these aspirations and you have other aspirations? What if our personalities are slightly different and we like different things, right? Bringing two into one can create this kind of codependent nature, this, you are me and I am you. And so when you act differently than us, as we've agreed to be, I'm going to be confused and maybe angry and frustrated. You're breaking this communication, you're breaking this agreement. And so a secure relationship actually gives us the space to explore ourselves. We actually get to know ourselves on deeper levels, and that's encouraged, that's invited. And why that's available to us is because what we know deep down on a subconscious level is that we are secure in this relationship. We don't have to stress, worry, or fear that this won't be here. We don't have to worry that we'll be alone or could be alone. We're situated in a secure bond, knowing we're both in this together. At the same time, we've built a secure enough foundation between the two of us where we know that no matter what ends up happening, the safety of this relationship is our number one priority. The security of the relationship is the number one priority. So we're going to come back to the table and always navigate and find solutions together because that's the foundation we've built. That's the agreements that we've made. We're committed to that. And we feel good about that. We feel safe in that. And so that allows us to step a little bit farther outside of the relationship to explore ourselves. This is attested to by one of the childhood studies that talks about attachment. And it is what they dictated the differences between anxious, avoidant, and secure. And what they found was that if there was already a secure bond between mother and child, when the mother would leave the room, the child would still be visibly upset. It would still be bothered. But when the mom came back into the room, the child would light up, but then also continue on and want to explore. It wouldn't want to stay attached. It wouldn't completely ignore. It would acknowledge it with excitement and care and love. And then once it was done, it felt more confident than taking steps farther across the room away from mom to explore the world. That same attachment, ironically, is actually what we are looking for in a lot of ways in our adult relationships. We're still looking to have that safe haven, that safe return home, that closeness, that bondness, where I'm still a little upset that you're gone or that you're exploring, but at the same time, I'm so excited when you're back, and I can't wait to bring the adventures back to our relationship. Right? There's security in that. So again, so far we have a safe haven to return to and a space to explore yourself on deeper levels. Those are the two things that maybe we already know are a part of a secure relationship dynamic. And this is where I think for me things really start to amplify the necessity of building a secure relationship. This next one is just around your health. If you've done any sort of work around relationships, you've kind of learned that the health of your relationship often determines your health. Right? So if your relationship is really anxious, it's insecure, it's unsafe, then that actually creates a lot of hormonal changes in your body that can affect your overall health. And when your relationship is going really well, right, then your health tends to take a spin in the right direction. Now, of course, there's other influences in life, but that is a direct correlation to your health, your mental health, your psychological health, your emotional health, your physical health. All of that is encompassed in and regarded to your health of your relationships and the security of it. So the more secure we can create of our relationship, the better off we're actually going to be in our health. And that one I love because I am personally such a health advocate. I aspire every day to be healthier or to just remain as healthy as possible. And so knowing that all of the work that I'm putting in to continue to create more security and safety in my relationship is actually helping me improve my health at the same time and the health of her, which is incredible, right? The more we can settle in, the healthier we actually will be, which is, again, incredible. To double down on that, there's actually been studies that show that if there's a relationship involved or there's a secure relationship or relationships, we literally recover faster after injury or surgery. So it actually, again, it helps us not only stay healthy, but when we do inevitably get sick because we're human, we actually recover faster because we have that safety of our relationship always there. And so one of the biggest concerns in life of being alone is not there. And we can actually, our body can focus on repair and maintenance, which is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. The next one is similar to a space to explore yourself, but a secure relationship, it just naturally starts to call in the next steps. It naturally starts to call in growth and expansion. So we think about marriage, we think about kids. As the relationship becomes more secure, those conversations naturally come up because the day to day issues, the surface level challenges, the monotonous arguments, like all of those are infrequent. They've kind of moved their way out because they're handled, because they're truly repaired. And there's a security there created around the consistency of that. And so once that amplification of emotion around smaller things goes away, it leaves a lot of room for us to think, to curate, to create together. And so marriage and kids start to come up the more secure our relationship is. In that, though, it doesn't mean that a secure relationship doesn't stress or worry about things like marriage or kids. But what they do know, the people that are in secure relationships, they understand and they get that even though we're scared, right, naturally, and we're worried and we're concerned and we have our fears, that we have such a home base here, such a security between the two of us that nothing is unachievable. And so we know we're going to take that on and we're going to take as many steps as possible to do so confidently. And at the same time, we're so confident in us that we got it. This will always remain. This safety of this and the security of this will always remain, right? There's so much power in that. So it naturally calls in growth. Future marital satisfaction. Now, if you're not married or you are married, regardless, this is more of a conversation around the longevity of your relationship. The more safe and secure you can create, more safety and security you can create, the more likely it is that you will have a longer lasting relationship. And that makes sense, right? Because we're better at what we're doing. But when it comes to marriage, there's such a drastic transition that happens in there where if you don't have a secure foundation in your relationship prior to getting married, you are incredibly more likely to get divorced within the next 7 years. You are way more likely to actually end after marriage, which is an interesting piece, right? Because we think about marriage as like, okay, well, maybe we already feel committed, or maybe we've been together for 10 years, like what really changes? But again, there's a conversation that happens where I mentioned earlier that there's a shift in your attachment. The attachment that you had to home base, which was your family, now shifts to your partner and the new family you're building. So there's a different experience that calls forward a lot of different parts of us. And therefore, that transition challenges us. And if we don't have the base of knowing how to get through those experiences in a safe and secure way, then over the course of the following year to 7 years, our relationship will deteriorate and it will crumble and we will eventually divorce. So what we're having a conversation here is how do we get ahead of that? What does it take to start creating more safety and security in my relationship? Because I want that, right? I think it's fair to say we want a long relationship. We want longevity. And so if that's the case, then the building starts now and it has to stay consistent. That's how we start to create security and safety. This next one was fascinating for me to discover about the power of a secure relationship. And it's actually has to do with postpartum depression. Now, this isn't a foolproof way of getting rid of postpartum depression, but there are studies done that the more secure a relationship is going into birth and through the birthing process, the less likely postpartum depression is to arrive. There's a strong correlation between the security of a relationship and the likelihood of postpartum depression. That's crazy to me because I thought or assumed that it was just a natural cause of the hormonal shifts and changes because it's so frequent. Turns out it's not that frequent. And the reality is that it has a lot to do with the security of our relationships. Now, of course, there's many other aspects and influences that are involved. So this isn't the only one, but it plays a huge part because it allows our system to settle into the knowing that this area of my life, which is the biggest area of my life, is not a concern. I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressed about it. I don't have lingering resentment or contempt towards this experience. Therefore, I feel so much more confident in what comes. Therefore, the way that my body responds to the hormonal changes is different, simply based on the fact that this relationship is secure. Crazy to me. That one is huge, right? Because you think about what that offers then the relationship after birth and what is then able to be achieved together, right? because that experience is less likely to happen. Crazy to me. That's a piece of secure relationships that I didn't see coming. The next one, speaking to the power of a secure relationship, is its impact on that child through its early stages and through its life. You think about the impact that you have the ability to have on your child, which is to help them create a secure attachment, right? That's crazy. Like, you think about how far that goes. You think about the challenges we've had, the challenges that we've gone through with anxious and avoidant and disorganized, right? And the lack of security or lack of secure relationships out there these days, the impact not only on their experience through life, but also the way they get to impact everybody else down the line, right? If we can create that security with them, that's one of the most incredible things. And so where that starts, right, is by modeling, because they do what they see. They embody what they witness. And so if they can witness and experience a secure relationship between you and your partner through that process, then they will start to embody what that looks like. They will be able to explore what that looks like, and they're more likely to develop a secure relationship with themselves and with the world. And this will help promote their healthy self-esteem, which we all want in our kids, right? The confidence is also huge in there. And then the relational skills that they're going to need as they grow up and as they develop. Huge, right? We know this. This is one of the biggest impacts of a secure relationship, is that development through the children. The last one I want to mention here before we finish is an interesting one. It's actually down the line. It's empty nest syndrome, I believe it's called. And it's when the child leaves home. A lot of the experiences for married couples after the child leaves lead to divorce. It's actually a pretty high risk zone, specifically for those who are insecurely attached, or for those who have relied on the child to be the glue, to be the attached experience. Right? Because after that, there's no foundation. There's no set regulating experience for the couple to work off of. And so the couple's experience together tends to deteriorate, and it tends to fail, and divorce tends to follow. And so again, right, we think about the impact of what we want to build now and how that can impact all the way down the line to when our children leave the home. Now, whether you want kids or whether you don't, it's not the conversation we're having, because if you're not having kids, then we're just having the longevity conversation. Secure relationships promote longevity, but they need to be built, they need to be created. And that starts with the actions that we take today together as a unit, right? It's an ongoing process. And the more we practice it, the more consistent we are, the more our system, our nervous system, can rely on that consistency. And then down the line, it understands that this isn't something that we feel anxious or stressed or worried about. Even though there's tidbits here and there, we feel confident in the security of it. We can let it go and we can continue to expand and worry about other things. Powerful, right? This isn't just hey, I hope my relationship goes good for the next, month. It's like, yes, that's a goal. And also what you're building now transcends this moment. It completely transcends it. Even if you go back to the conversation around it, allows you to explore yourself on a deeper level. You think about the way that your relationship and how it's going and how you feel about it truly deeply impacts the way you work, right? The way that you feel walking down the street, the way that you feel when you go to your families or you go out for dinner, right? How much of an impact this specific part of life plays. Goes back to Esther Perel's quote, the quality of your relationship determines the quality of your life. If we can take that and start to build into security and safety on a deeper level, I mean, the world is limitless at that point. The world is limitless. So again, I share this just to expand our awareness, to bring us into a different world of what really is the impact of a secure relationship beyond just our own personal wants and needs. It's so much bigger than that. And that to me is worth the effort. If that speaks to you and you're ready to actually take that into tangible processing, into real work, into creating that with you and your partner, right? Maybe there's some cleanup here or some actual repair needed there, or whether you're looking to just continue to reassure that process throughout time, I encourage you to reach out to me and let's talk. Let's connect around one of my relationship programs, whether it's relational reset, relational reassurance, relationship revival. All of these programs are built to help get us closer to a secure relationship dynamic so that, again, we can explore ourselves deeper. We can feel confident about children and marriage. We can have no issues with empty nest syndrome, right? It's, again, a longer process, a longer journey that we're focused on. So much more than just this moment. So if that speaks to you, email me at atlasmecca@gmail.com or go to my socials at the relationship coach _ and just book a free discovery call. Right. Let's have a session together. Let's chat. I'll give you more context and answers to any questions you might have about what that journey looks like and how I can support. I would love to be able to support in any way that I can. That's all for today. Thanks for listening to episode 10 of the Relationship Atlas podcast. Talk soon.